about ready to make a pizza, and I got my flour here, my copper here, and a little later you're gonna see Mia make a few pizzas. But for now, I got to start making some pizzas that are for somebody else. So I'm gonna take care of those pizzas first, and then I'll let Mia take her time and make pizzas, and I'll show you those videos later as well. Okay, let's see. Today's dough was actually a 48-hour dough. I'm always trying new things. This particular dough is 66% hydration, and using Caputo flour, and so far it looks pretty good. It may have bubbled a little more than I would want it to, but I was using some instant dry yeast, which I wasn't really sure how old it was, but I wanted to use it anyway. I proofed the instant dry yeast in a bowl of flour and water mixture, which is about 50% water, 50% flour. So, and mix that up, and then it started to bubble nicely, and I just used that. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty soft, so. Yeah, it's nice and soft. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Keep this flour just a little bit. So right now it's not full size. We're going to stretch it out before we put it in the oven. Before you start making a pizza, always be sure that your oven is blazing hot and you don't have any pieces of firewood that are dying out, because worst thing for making a Neapolitan pizza is that you throw a pizza in there and there's no fire, so it's not going to cook very fast, and it takes a while for the flame to kick up on new pieces of firewood. So this is just a normal dry mozzarella cheese. This we can source from various places, but I've been using Costco's Kirkland brand for a little while, and it has been working well for me. So some of the other mozzarella's we've been able to get are through a company called EuroAsia, and they sell something that we can get only through them, and certain types of mozzarella cheese, like the buffalo milk mozzarella cheese. They have a few brands that are shipped in and only good for like 5 days, and then after that you gotta throw them out. But I sometimes get those, but I don't have anything special today. This pepperoni is a pepperoni that my father brought me when he was here during the winter, and kept it frozen, and then I took it out a couple of days ago and I sliced it on up. And so this one's going to be a pepperoni only pizza, just to kind of get things going here. And I will sprinkle a bit of Parmigiano Reggiano on that, and we shall send that into the oven. Okay, looks like our fire is doing okay. Just kind of nudge it a little bit. Make sure the flames is good as we can get it here. Yep. There's a bit of ash in the front, so let's get rid of that. Okay. Flour our surface a bit here. Yeah, can you hold that right there? Thank you very much. situate the toppings. And into the oven we go. Oh, sorry. Again, I'm not one for the quick pull of the pizza peel. Although I do that with very small pizzas. The larger, really soft pizzas, I'm very gentle with them. And that side's starting to cook nicely. We'll just take a look at the bottom, make sure it's not overcooking. No, we're still good there. Let it do its thing. Always loosen the back side just to make sure before you do any turning. It looks quite nice. Because the fire is pretty hot, this is going to be cooking in roughly a minute. If you've got a stopwatch, please, by all means, time to bake. And the bottom is looking pretty good there. Didn't overchar at all. And just finish it off there at the top. And how does that look? Piping hot. And we will set that over here. Okay, so that is one finished pepperoni pizza. We'll take a look. It's got a little bit of a crackle there. Take a look at the bottom. It's quite nice. I'm very happy with that. A couple of pepperonis got doubled up there, but that is just part of the artwork, I suppose. And that is the finished pie. Let's see. There were some frequently asked questions. I think I'll try to hit one. Someone was saying, okay, I was not getting much rise out of my dough. What am I doing wrong? Well, there are a lot of things that could be happening here, and you gotta make sure that there are a lot of things happening properly. For example, proper temperature, proper amount of yeast for that temperature, and make sure that you're using the proper types of yeast, and you're not using yeast that's dead. Okay, some yeast you might have in the cabinet or in the refrigerator that's been there for years, it may be dead, so it might not be working. Other thing is, if you're doing a 24-hour dough and the 24-hour rise, and after 24 hours nothing's happened and you get a pretty flat dough, it could be that it's too cold, or if it's too cold, yeast doesn't really work well. So in the winter, I will up the yeast sometimes by 30%, sometimes less. It depends on where in my house I plan to leave it overnight. This one was a two-day ferment, so I went even less yeast than I would normally, because it would have 2 days to do its magic. So cold is a factor. The next thing that's a factor is making sure that you plan the amount of time that fits the amount of yeast. So you're probably asking me, well, how much yeast should I use for how much time? Okay, I'm going to put a link at the bottom here, and this link will take you to a chart that was made by a really good pizza maker who lives in Texas. His name is Craig. I don't know how I got this chart, and in my area I tend to use about 10% more than this chart says to use. That's only because of my experimentation. Craig, he lives in Texas. It's a very dry climate. Different things affect how your yeast works as far as how it rises and whether or not it rises at all. And some of it has to do with altitude. So if you live up in Denver, Colorado, for example, you're going to have different results using this chart. But the chart is a good baseline to start with, and then I recommend you keep a notebook and just keep trying until you hone in what works at certain temperatures. So I'm sure you want to make pizza in the summer, you want to make pizza in the winter, you want to make pizza in the spring. And the temperature is always different, the climate's different, so experiment and keep record of how the temperature was at that time, how the humidity was, and if you're making pizza in Denver, or if you're making pizza down here at sea level like I am, you will have different results, so write those down, and the results that you're most happy with, you can go back to them just like that, because they'll be in your notebook. So a notebook is paramount to being able to progress in your pizza making. So for now, I'll leave you with just this pizza. We'll take a time out, and when we come back, I'll make another pizza.